All right, welcome back. So, in the first video, we covered a lot of the basic stuff, which is like how to go about using Clay, how to do the basic stuff, find contacts, find companies, find jobs. We really didn't dive into the enrichments, but we talked about like the basic, how to get initially, how to get data in Clay. We discussed a few things, a bit of formulas, enrichments you need to look at. Now, in the next video, I want to dive deeper into enrichments that would really help you understand Clay overall from a very high level overview, firstly, and then we'll dive deeper into each kind of specific enrichment. And again, we have hundreds of enrichments, hundreds of use cases. I'm going to discuss the one that has really stood out for me, that has really changed the game for me in terms of outbound, and that has really helped me and my clients generate a lot of leads and pipeline. So, first thing I want you to look at, as I was saying in the previous video as well, is I want you to go to enrichments and take a look at everything that you find, and then you'll see what data you can find. So let's say tech stack, job openings is basic. You can perform Google searches. Let's say take the first name, last name of a prospect, company, and then search it on Google, see what you're finding, find news. You can enrich companies with all those details by just, if you want to do something like this, you can simply select it, do that. And of course, you'll see the number of credits it's using, and of course normalize, organize, summarize tools. These are the first things I want you to take a look at, because your use case would be different from what I am showing you, right? But a lot of what I'm going to show you would apply to you. I would say 90% of people that probably would be watching this course would be using a lot of the things that I'm saying, 95%. So you'd probably fall into those 95% people. But the first thing I want to talk about is OpenAI enrichment, which is in Clay. So how would you use that? And firstly, I would highly recommend that whenever possible, use your own API key. Because if you don't use your own API key, so let's say if I want to use OpenAI to generate some sort of text, there are two ways to do it. If my account is connected, I can use my OpenAI key. If my account is not connected, it'll cost 1 credit. And 1 credit is really expensive in terms of like with Clay, because you could get this done probably for maybe less than a cent, or I don't know, maybe even less than 0.003 or something. And how do you do that is I explained it previously. You'll simply click here, go to settings, and then you'll click on OpenAI and connect your OpenAI key. It's very simple, basic stuff. But make sure if you're using OpenAI or any other enrichments which you have a subscription of, or even if not, then I would highly recommend that you at least use your API key for OpenAI, for find email and all those email finders and email validators. That's the main 3 or 4 things I want you to use your API key for. I've even written it here. Always make sure to use your API key so you can remember it. Now, I want to show you like how do you use it. So let's say, and I'm gonna of course show you like a already built and already working like OpenAI kind of prompt. But if you find, like, you'll first type in OpenAI and then you'll select generate text, and then it'll look something like this. And from here on, make sure that always this your key is selected, and you can do it in default in the workspace settings. And then you need to write your prompt. The best way to write your prompt is I always use chat gpt to give me ideas. So it's crazy. So I'll give AI to tell me what to tell. So you can use OpenAI to give you a very detailed prompt, which you can come in here, copy and paste, and see if it's working according to your kind of requirements. But I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to show you an example of how you need to write the prompt. So let's discuss the first prompt, identifying if a company is a good fit based on the LinkedIn description. So I'm going to show you a prompt that is already working. So if you see, I'm telling it, analyze this company description to determine if they offer services related to accounting, taxes, payroll, or whatever. And then read this company description. Then carefully analyze, identify relevant services. I'm telling all this. If you can pause it and read it if you want, and output like this. So when you're writing a prompt for AI, you need to make sure that you guide it with specific details. Always remember that you're guiding something that has the whole world of information is on its fingertips, and it could get you any answers you want. But then that's the reason you need to be very specific. So I want you to answer me like this. This is how you need to train your AI kind of prompt to give you right details. The next thing is, apart from writing the prompt, there's an amazing thing with OpenAI in Clay. You can add in your examples. What is examples is, you if you see this, it'll give you like give examples. It'll show you give examples of how the AI should respond. This is really good. You will click on add examples, and you can either choose to take data from your existing table. Let's say if I choose a row as an example, and I can select row 1. So if it's giving me data from row 1, or I can choose to do it, create your own example, and I can write my own LinkedIn description, like Apollo.ai or whatever. It has XYZ data. And then I can give it like what should the AI respond if it sees a description like this. So it would respond, yes, it's a good fit, or no, it's a bad fit. If you give it like 5, 6, maybe 10 examples, I've given it 16 because I wanted to be 100% sure. Then I can almost guarantee you, if you do this right, you will save a lot of time and you'll get very clean data. So if you see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to understand which companies are in the finance space in this prompt based on the LinkedIn description. So it's reading the LinkedIn description, right? Using this LinkedIn description. It's also looking at the examples that I'm giving it, all these examples. It's also looking at the system prompt, which is you're an expert assistant. So it's like a personality we're giving them. Like you're a helpful assistant, you are an expert in accounting, identifying which companies in accounting, banking, taxes, payroll, whatever. And then it's actually helping me if this company would be a good fit or a bad fit. So you can either change this prompt to say good fit, bad fit, whatever you want to do. Okay, now this was the basic, like one of the basic things you can do. You can do it how, like whatever way you want. So you can remove competitors, you can find good fits, you can find tier 1, tier 2 prospects, you can do absolutely anything. You can find if a company is B2B, B2C, what industry do they like sell in, and a lot of details, right? This was the first kind of thing. Now let's talk about the second. Identifying if a prospect is tier 1 or tier 2 based on the LinkedIn data. Let me show you how this kind of thing works. Okay, so in this prompt, what we're doing is we're simply reading the job title, and based on the job title, because these are very kind of specific titles, and we are identifying if this prospect is a tier 1, tier 2, non-ICP, or maybe add in more kind of things in here. Now, an important thing to notice is we can give it more details if we want. So let's say we can also have Clayagent, which I'll talk about later. But since I'm getting a lot of ideas, we can add their summary in here. We can add their about section. We can also add in what they've written in their current experience. So let's say when you write you're working at Cisco or whatever company, you can also write, okay, I have achieved this target. I'm managing 100 plus salespeople. I've increased their revenue from 1 million to 100 million. When I joined I've helped them grow their team, the sales team, from 10 employees to 1,000 people, whatever. We can also add this data in here and have AI analyze all this stuff and then identify if, based on the current title that they have, are they a tier 1, tier 2, or an ICP? This is another example. It's very simple. I've actually used AI to write everything. I'm telling it you're an expert BDR, trained to analyze LinkedIn job titles and classify contacts into tier 1, tier 2, or non-ICP. And I'm giving it all these details. Again, you can also use, if you use JSON schema, it's better than just fields, because then what happens is it's going to be very specific. So it knows the exact output that you need and it's going to output it like that. So I would recommend that you use JSON, like JSON schema. And then if you click on field now, it says we are looking for contact tier, right? Tier 1, tier 2, it's going to do it like that. And again, examples are extremely important. Like I cannot emphasize the importance of giving examples because it's very important. So then the AI actually understands, and then it won't like hallucinate and starts outputting kind of random info. And again, apart from doing this, you also need to tell it in the prompt, do not output anything. You'll see something like this there. So I'm usually, what I do is at the end, I say something like output, and then I write something like, you're only allowed to output this and that. Do not strictly only output these. Do not output anything else. If you cannot find it, output not found or something like that. And then it finds me very good kind of details. Okay, so we've also discussed this, identifying if a prospect is tier 1, tier 2, based on their LinkedIn data, their job title, their summary, their about section, whatever. Now, check whether the company is B2B or B2C. This is also really important for a lot of companies, and this is one of the basic prompts that I'm talking about. There's nothing advanced in here. We are simply reading their LinkedIn company description, and the same can apply for if you want to also visit their website. Visit the website in real time. For that, we'll use Clayagent. But I'm talking about the most basic stuff, like what data have they put out on their LinkedIn. We're reading the LinkedIn description, and based on what they say, we're identifying if they sell to businesses, B2B, or if they're B2C. And of course, the examples that you'll give it is going to be different if you are targeting different industries. What I mean by that, if you're targeting banks and credit unions, then and you're then doing B2B, B2C, let's say fintech, then the examples are going to be different. But if you're targeting software companies, then it's going to be different. Like you are identifying an Uber as B2B or B2C, it's B2C. Or if you're identifying Salesforce is B2B, something like that. I hope you get my point. The examples has to be specific to what you're looking to achieve to get the best results. So if you see same thing, I've given it a very detailed prompt, and again, I've used OpenAI to write the entire thing. But OpenAI in the first kind of output doesn't give it a lot more details, but in the second, third, you tell it like, make it more simple, make it more detailed, make it in bulleted format and stuff, then it starts giving you like really good data. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on OpenAI is a lot of my tables, like 50% of the columns are OpenAI or sometimes Claude. And most people don't even realize like OpenAI can solve a lot of problem. Previously, we had like SDRs, or we even used to hire contractors from Upwork, Fiverr, who were manually like checking each website. Now it's all automated. And now, if you see, I'm giving examples, and now it's reading and it's telling me if it's a B2B or B2C. A lot of them are B2B because our data was really good and clean, if you see, but this is B2C. Now, based on that, and now what you'll do, I'm just talking about something else than OpenAI, but let's say if you only wanted to work on B2B prospects, right? Then the next column that you'll run, let's say we want to find people in B2B companies. Then when you write find contacts at company, which I discussed in the last video, then you'll do only if this says B2B, run this. I hope you get my point. I'll even show you live. So the reason to do all this is each column, most of the columns would have formulas in it. So if you see, I'm saying only run if company sells to bank is yes, which means they sell to bank or something, or this says B2B. I hope you get my point. So this is like the stuff that you would need to do. Once you find some data, are they tier 1, tier 2? Are they ICP or non-ICP? Are they B2B, B2C? Then the next column that you make has to have a formula which goes and looks there. What did it say? Did it say B2B? If it said B2B, then run this. Or was it a tier 1 prospect or tier 2 prospect? Okay, if it's a tier 1 prospect, I want to find their mobile phone number, or I want to add them into, I don't want to send them an automated mail. I want to send them a handwritten whatever mail. If it was tier 2, okay, go ahead, add them to Smartlead. I hope you get what I'm saying. There might be some technical details, but I'm sure you'll understand. Check the product or service a company sells. This is also really good, and it's really amazing. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, for this prompt, we're using Claygent. I'm going to talk about Claygent in detail. I'm going to show you all the use cases in a different section. But what I want you to understand is, actually, Clay tells us, if you have data that is in the table or that you can look up using Clay, and it doesn't have to really search the internet, then you can use the OpenAI prompts and stuff. If you want it to serve the internet, if you wanted to look for data outside of what is in Clay or what you can get in Clay easily, then use Claygent. So Claygent, you can think of it like an assistant who has the ability to search the internet, all over the internet, who has also the ability to use AI and put data for you in different columns. So let's say you want to find, do this company sell to other tech companies? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. What's the exact product do they sell? Okay, they sell cloud solutions. The third thing, what's the pricing tier do they have? Pricing 1, 2, 3, and they'll also, okay, do they also offer like a custom enterprise plan? Okay, so this is what you use Claygent for. So it can go out into the internet, use AI, use Google and all that stuff, come back to you with information, and not just put all data in one kind of column and then you clean it up. It'll put data in different columns so you can use it as variables in your outreach sequences. Let me show you one use case, but again, we'll talk about this in detail because there's a lot to cover in Claygent, which I won't do in this video. So what I wanted to do here is I wanted to find if this company sells to banks or financial institutions or not, and which kind of company, or do they sell to, and then if they do, then it's going to output yes, and then it's going to tell me where do they sell. Is it bank, where? And then it's also going to tell what's the exact product or service that they sell. This is a very detailed prompt that you can use. Let me give you one quick tip. So there's a Clay GPT prompt assistant made by a company called Gatewell. I think you can also make your by custom GPT. I'm not going to get into that, but you can use also something like this, which so this kind of GPT, I'm sure, is trained on hundreds of prompts that are really good and working well, and now it can write prompts that would work really well. So you can come in here and then you can tell it like, help me write a prompt to find this, and then it'll write a prompt for you. You can do this, or you can just use straight up ChatGPT. And so if you see, like, and it took me a while to get it right because previously it wasn't finding a lot of information. Like, it took me a couple of iterations, but then at the end it got it right. And the way to get output in different kind of columns is you write it here. So the company sell to banks, yes or no? What do they sell? What's the exact product? And it's actually going out to the internet finding. So it's telling me they sell to banks, yes. They sell to banks, credit unions, fintechs, and they said payment card production, or risk management software, or income calculation service, or intelligent virtual assistant, AI powered. There's so much you can do with Clear. This is just one use case. So we also covered check the company's product or services they sell by either visiting the website, going into the internet, checking their LinkedIn, whatever. And I think the website is the best place because people put that information on the website. Now let's talk about simplification of stuff, because this is one of the most basic things you should be doing. If you don't do a lot of the crazy stuff, at least do that. Okay, so let me show you how you can simplify first names, because a lot of our full names, because a lot of the times the data on LinkedIn says something funny, like there's an emoji or something, and people intentionally put it there. So if they're receiving an automated email, a lot of the like 95% of people who don't clean that stuff up would get it's an automated email or a LinkedIn message or stuff. And a lot of the times companies have a lot more extra fluff like LLC, corp, all that stuff, and even some extra info which you don't need. And job titles is the main one. So they would say something like marketing director and head of finance, and then artist, and then singer, and all that. So you can create OpenAI prompts for it. There is a feature in Clay which is using their formula, but I never saw it working amazingly well the same way you can get something like OpenAI working. So simply, I'm telling, and this is a prompt. So I'm telling it your task is to extract the first name from this full name, and then follow these steps carefully. Trim and split, remove all the Mr., Miss, Mrs., hyphen, remove all the, if it's this, it becomes that, special cases. And then I'm also giving an example. So let's say Charlotte, Blue Charlotte, Michael, and something funny also. So remove it. This is very simple, and I'm using okay. And one more thing I forgot to add, which is very simple. So if you're using GPT-4, even using your OpenAI key, which I would recommend, use your own API key to do that. So you can use GPT-4 Omni for more of the advanced things, but you can use GPT-4 Omni for cleaning up the first name, company name, titles. So I would highly recommend use for Omni for most of the tasks. But if it's a very simple task like cleaning up first name, last name, titles, and stuff, use Omni. It's going to be very cheap. So we can even see like it's 0.0005, which is almost nothing. Also, this company name simplification is also the same, which is simplify the company name, analyze, clean, all that stuff. And again, use OpenAI for that. You talk to ChatGPT and you'll get a prompt which is working. And you're also seeing examples. So I haven't put really much effort into this. Like I'm just telling it, clean up this so it can be used in a cold email. Each title should be 3-word maximum, and do not output anything else other than the title. And then the examples are where the magic really happens. So because it doesn't know what it needs to output, I'm giving it, if it says senior director and freelancer, output senior art director. If it says vice president of marketing and something else and growth, whatever, then just do VP of sales. Or same with chief marketing officer, CMO, whatever. So then it looks good if you use that in the email. So that was about cleaning up the first name, or cleaning up the names, company names, and titles, right? Identify company is exact industry. This is really good, and you can do a lot of crazy stuff in here. Let me show you like how it works properly. Okay, let's talk about industry identification. And here you can do a lot more specific stuff. So the example I'm showing you is for a broader kind of range of industries. What I mean is, uh, you can even prompt it to output very specific software or any specific company. So let's say it could say it's a sales tech company, or it's a HR tech company, or it's a gov tech, or it's something specific like cybersecurity or fintech, or it could just say software or IT or consumer goods or retail or retail tech. The way you prompt it is going to output it like this. You need to understand you are the one who's going to train your AI model, right? You are going to tell what you need, and based on that, it's going to output it correctly. So here, I wanted to just get general kind of industries, and I'm going to show you live how wrong the results from LinkedIn is, because OpenAI has read their LinkedIn description, and there's a clear difference. And even if you check on their website, LinkedIn is saying something else and it's something else. And it's not LinkedIn's fault. It's the people who've made the LinkedIn company page, they output something differently. And now probably they're doing different, like, or probably from initially, like someone says they're in construction and they're actually a financial service company. So it's crazy. So that's why you need to use like industry identification to properly see are they your ICP fit, because what LinkedIn tells could be wrong, and a lot of times it's wrong. So anyway, so we're analyzing the LinkedIn like description, and then based on that, we want it to output specific industries. So let's say accounting, agriculture, alcohol, automotive, all this, like in energy, finance. You can read it, right? The basic stuff. And again, AI has written everything, and I'm telling it the above are just example. There's a slight chance that the industry you find might not fall in any of the above. You still need to find what industry it is and output it correctly. So let's say, just give an example. Let's say you just imported software companies, right? Or you've imported companies from Crunchbase, and you want to find exact area they play in. So let's say, are they sales tech, HR tech, gov tech, are they retail tech, fintech, whatever, right? Tech. What you can do, or maybe even deeper, like what they do, you can prompt it the way it is, and you can, the industries that you add would look something like what I just said, all those tech, and then it would output the way you want it to. And again, I'm giving it like a system prompt, or this is what you are, like you are an expert in industry identification and all that. And then I'm also giving it 5 or 6 examples. And then you see it's outputting everything correctly. Here, LinkedIn said manufacturing is manufacturing, real estate, but now you'll start seeing a lot more kind of discrepancy. So internet publishing is staffing and recruitment. Weird. Industrial machinery manufacturing is financial services. Hospitality was right. Manufacturing is right. Construction is holding company. So similar, a bit similar, but not really. Business consulting is actually staffing and recruiting. So if you're doing hiring, then you don't want to reach out to staffing and recruitment companies because they don't really want to buy your services because that's what they sell, right? So oil and gas is industrial. So law is legal. Yeah, that's the same. So you need to, like, manufacturing is consumer goods. So they're not manufacturing, they're selling caviar. So weird, right? So you need to make sure you identify your industries to make sure you have a very curated list of prospects of companies that you want to reach out to. And that of course depends on case by case, what you're doing. Okay, now the 2 things left. We'll just quickly go over it and then we'll go on to Clay. So there's one thing which is find relevant companies we work with. And so this is what you can use this prompt to basically, let's say if you're reaching out to a company like Meta, then if you work with Google, Apple, Tesla, you can mention that or something similar. So let's say if you've helped like a financial services company, so you can name 3 financial services company that they know of that might be popular or that are very good, and you've helped them in the past. So it makes sense to give social proof in the first email, like we've helped a company similar to yours, so we can help you too. So I have a prompt and I've even discussed it in one of the videos. So it's doing that. Let me see if I can show you this. So simply, we're using GPT-4 Omni, our own API key, and we're just telling it very simply based on the industry the company is in, and we also have the exact industry that they're in, not what LinkedIn tells us, but what OpenAI has told us after reading their LinkedIn company description. And then based on that, tell me, like, output 3 relevant companies. So I'm telling it this, and then I'm writing all the companies that we work with in the past based on all these industries, and we've also used AI for that. And then I'm telling it the steps. And then I'm also telling it, if you don't find something similar, output something that is very close to it. And then I'm also telling it output return only the company names in a comma separated sentence. Do not output any of the text. And I'm also giving it like 10 or somewhat examples, as you can see. And then you see it's outputting correctly. So for retail, it outputted correctly. Walmart, Target, Amazon. So entertainment is good. Restaurants is good. Manufacturing, I won't say so. It should be automotive. But since we haven't worked with manufacturing, so it's just taking its chances, right? Automotive, here again, food, retail, entertainment, healthcare is doing good. Alcohol, banking, tech, food again, sports, so environmental. So yeah, you can see there's so much you can do with AI and people don't understand. That's why I wanted to create a separate section for AI, because 50% of my table is just coming up with AI-based ideas. So I just thought you guys should know, and I know for a fact that it'll really help you. Okay, now categorize which department a prospect works at based on their job title. So what it means is, let's say if you're reaching out, and this is mainly for if you're reaching out to bigger companies. So let's say they have HR department, they have sales, they have marketing, they have product, they have different departments, right? Finance and stuff. So you want to add them into separate sequences, or for some reason you just want to find like what department that they work at. So let's say if someone works at marketing, you want to send them a marketing specific message. Let's say your VP of marketing, head of marketing, demand gen managers, and you have salespeople, you want to add them into a sales sequence. You have creative people, you want to add them in creative, right? You get what I'm saying, content, whatever. So you can make a prompt for that, and I'm going to show you here. And this is persona identification. The name doesn't matter. You can name it whatever. You can name it like just finding the departments, whatever. So I'm telling it like your task is to analyze job title within a company and classify them into 4 departments. We won't go into that, but I'm telling it creative would go here, marketing would go here, production, and then I'm not just that. Now I'm giving it like examples as well, and I'm telling it only run if the job title exists or has values, and then you can see it's outputting everything correctly. So this is to show you that now we know if someone is marketing, someone is in sales, someone is in HR, it'll answer like it'll give you that output, and then you can create a smart lead sequence or a hey reach sequence or whatever sequence, and then you'll say, if this says marketing, add them into a marketing sequence, or maybe even head of marketing sequence if you want to be more specific. If they are in sales, add them into sales. If they're in sales enablement, add them into sales enablement. If they're in revenue ops, rev ops, add them into this. If they're in demand gen, add them here. This is what it's actually used for, like to send a very relevant and personalized message that is like that they would resonate with, including a pain point that they would resonate with and a value prop, to make sure our emails get more responsive or our LinkedIn messages. So this was the goal for it. So this is mainly what we talked about for OpenAI. Now I'll create a different video for Clayagent and this, and maybe we'll also include this, or maybe even create a different one. But that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.